Okay, we will call the open session meeting to order. Good morning. My name is John Von Paris, and I am the chairman of the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee. I hereby call the meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and is being live streamed on the MDTA Finance and Administration Committee webpage. All members will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise during the call, I would ask that everyone on the line please mute your phones except when speaking. I ask that those who are presenting or answering a question to please turn your video and audio on when speaking. When you're done, please turn your video off and put your audio on mute. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. At this time, we will begin with agenda item number 1, approval of the open meeting minutes from May 8th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So move. Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
A second, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will move to agenda item number 2, contract number MT 002-11341, overhead and building door maintenance and repair. And Christina Guy is here to present. Good morning, Christina. How are you this morning?
And good morning. I'm fine. And you?
Fine, thank you.
All right. So good morning. My name is Christina Guy, and I will be the contract manager for contract MT 002-11341 for maintenance, repair, replacement, and inspection of overhead and building doors. The vendor will be responsible for overhead door maintenance and services. The work will be performed under this contract. The work being performed under this contract is for all MDTA facilities. The low bid was submitted by Minor LTD. They're doing business as Bob's Overhead Doors Repair and Services in an amount of $750,000. Therefore, we are recommending award of this contract to Minor. Minor is currently the contractor for this contract. This contract is for 3 base years and an optional 2-year renewal period. Notice to proceed is anticipated for September 1st, 2025. Did anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board?
So move, Member Carroll.
Member
Second
Carroll?
member. Second member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, members, and thank you, Christina. It's approved. Okay, we will move to agenda item 3, contract number MT 002-11382, janitorial services at Point Breeze. And Kathy Anderson is here. Good morning, Kathy.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm
Morning.
good. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
My name is Kathy Anderson. I'm presenting on behalf of Tony Kashira, who will be the contract manager for this contract. It's for janitorial services at the Point Breeze complex. The vendor will be responsible for providing comprehensive janitorial services, including supervision, supplies, labor, and equipment. Again, it's to be performed at our Point Breeze facility. The National Center on Institutions and Alternatives was chosen for this contract. This will be a preferred provider contract awarded through Maryland Works. Maryland Works is a program that expands employment and business ownership opportunities for individuals with disabilities and other barriers to employment. It specifically focuses on creating quality employment opportunities and facilitating state contracts with community service providers and disability-owned businesses. If Maryland Works does not have a vendor to fulfill the contract needs, they issue a waiver and we advertise the contract on EMMA. The contract pricing from National Centers on Institutions and Alternatives was $1,491,639.79. This amount was approved by the Pricing and Selection Committee on May 16th, 2025. Therefore, we are recommending award of this contract to National Centers on Institutions and Alternatives. This vendor currently holds the janitorial contracts for the MDTA Police Headquarters, the Point Breeze Building, the William Preston Lane Memorial Bridge, and the ICC facility. The contract is for 3 base years and an optional 2-year renewal period. NTP is anticipated for December 2nd, 2025. Any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. Just more curiosity. How is it decided which contracts are designated for the community service provider program?
So there are certain vendors that the Maryland Works program works with. I know they do like landscape contracts. We recently sent an HVAC contract to them to see if they were interested in that. They did give us a waiver for that one. Jeff might be able to expand on the other kind of contracts that go to them. It basically is any kind of vendors that they do work with. It's not all contracts.
So basically,
you.
if a company on the contract or in that program has the capabilities, then sounds like then they're eligible potentially for the sole source on a specific contract.
Yes.
Slightly, I will add, and I see Agnes has her hand up. At a high level, all maintenance contracts are considered by Maryland Works. But we do know some categories they're not going to perform, but we allow them the opportunity to let us know if they are going to have one of their contractors bid on that service or not, or provide a waiver. So it could be, like she said, landscaping, janitorial. It could be supplemental staff, temporary services. They have a whole category of services that they provide. And did that answer your question? I don't want to keep rambling.
No, yep, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Just as it's a good question. Another, I guess, a question I would have is, we perform our due diligence in that area, right? In other words, we would check references and so forth. If there was going to be more technical, something just to make sure that there's a proven track record of service capabilities and so forth. I would imagine.
Yes. So the vendors they deal with are vetted. They do have a history of working with us. We work with multiple vendors that Maryland Works partners with. They shop around. They select a vendor, but we provide a specification, and our expectation is that this vendor can meet that specifications. The current vendor on this contract is one that we've had, I believe, success with many janitorial contracts at MDTA. So we didn't see a need to do any additional vetting this time. But if it were a new vendor, yes, we would do our reference checks. We would meet with them to discuss the scope, make sure they understand it. And we can also discuss with Maryland Works, our special needs, so that they understand what it is we're looking for, so they don't bring someone unqualified to the table.
Great. And I have a general question, I guess, on it kind of relates to this in the prior approval. When we engage a vendor to work on our facilities on our property, I just want to ask, this is a kind of more of a risk management question, but we're kind of in we've spent a lot of time talking in the past about risk management. Do we make sure, I'm assuming we do, there's proper certificates of insurance with limits and so forth, workers' comp, confirmation with any vendor, not
yes, with any vendor. So what we'll do is we will list, the minimum insurance requirements in the specifications, and then we will verify that they can meet or exceed those requirements at bid time or, at time of award.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a motion to advance this item?
So move, Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
Second, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina and I have a training event today, so we're going to drop off if nobody needs anything else from us.
Okay.
Okay, everybody have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we will move to agenda item number 4, contract MA 28680000 electronic toll system ETC 3G customer service center services collection contract modification number 4. Richard is here to present, I believe.
Yes, good morning. My name is Richard Jaramillo, Chief Operating Officer. Purpose of this agenda item is to seek Finance and Administration Committee's recommendation for approval to the full board on this Mod 4 for the ETC contract as stated MA 2868. The modification updates the system requirements specified in the request for proposal to align with MDTA's current business rules, operational needs, and customer payment options. The changes also allow for better contract management and accountability, as well as the modifications do not include any financial increases. Serving as a quick background, in 2018, this went to BPW in the amount of $200,428,772.81. Since then, we've had multiple mods to this, but the actual contract contained multiple phases, including system design, development, testing, and implementation as one of the phases. The second phase was O&M, which we're in now, and phase 3, which is a phase out for the contract. The pursuant to 11204 of the State Finance and Procurement Article Annotated Code, we will be presenting this to the BPW on August 6th. Mod 4 does align the system requirements as stated within the RFP. Total of for all designed, tested, implemented, and accepted. And the system requirements are tracked on a requirements traceability matrix. And as an example of the 2,397 requirements tracked on this RTM, nearly 20% of the original requirements were updated or removed, which was 300 updates and 175 removals. Most of the changes were related to deleting references to the Alliance for Toll Interoperability ATI hub, which is no longer in operation. Additionally, there was including requirements for pay-by-plate payment option, and then removing requirements for pre-registered video toll account payment options, which pay-by-plate replaced that option. The changes were necessitated to build a modern system that aligned with adoption of AET, as well as the technology standards, MDTA's operational needs, and customer expectations. Between the time of the RFP of 2016 advertisement and acceptance, which was just recent in April 2025, the MDTA toll collections went cashless with AET, advancing our technology, and more was learned about customer expectations. So as we learned that's how some of these requirements come to life. The MDTA understands that the retroactive contract actions are not favored. The MDTA has been working on documenting and ensuring agreement among the parties since fall of 2023, ensuring the completeness and accuracy of the collective changes required substantial time. The MDTA believes the end result will serve the needs of the agency and its customers. The recommendation in front of you today is to recommend approval of contract mod 4 for the ETC Customer Service Centers, contract MA 2868 to the full board. Are there any questions?
So one question, just to make sure I understand the nature of the contract. So basically this is to align the contract, or I should say, or rather, I get what was requested in the RFP to what we actually are doing today. And I presumably to just make sure that the vendor TransCore is in compliance. Otherwise, I assume what was in there before, they can't be compliant because the system designs have changed. So so it's really a formality in that regard.
Member Rosen, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, it's a matter of more aligning what the contract was in 2016 and adjusting to what we have today and what we need today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Carroll, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Richard, I know there's a lot of work that goes behind this, what you've done here. It's a lot of work. It's complicated, and you go back almost 9 years since I guess it was advertised for procurement. So there is a lot. I guess there are changes on these modifications are, I guess, modifications from the vendor and modifications that we have too, right? As Member Rosen described. Is that accurate? Pretty accurate.
Well, it is modifications, but these requests for these mods are coming from MDTA. There are requests to align what we had back in 2016 to make it what we need today to align with our operational needs, business rules, and customer experience and service needs.
Okay. But we don't anticipate any increase in cost at this point.
Member Rosen, no anticipated costs in financial at all. This is all system requirements changes.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board?
So moved, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll.
Second, Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Richard, again, thank you. I forgot to say good morning to you, but good morning. Thank you. And again, thanks for your hard work to get this moving.
Good morning. You're very welcome. Have a great day, y'all.
You too. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 5, fiscal year 2026 final operating budget. Jeffrey Brown is here today to present. Morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, all. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Brown, Budget Director for the MDTA, and I'm here today to present the fiscal 2026 final operating budget and request approval to move to the full board for approval. So for fiscal 2026 final budget is $456.3 million, which represents a $5.8 million or 1.3% increase versus the preliminary budget. The key drivers are mandated personnel expenses, insurance costs, management study activities, and increased Easy Pass Service Center costs. These are also partially offset by a reduction in new vehicle purchases, and that was a result of transfer of police take-home vehicles from fiscal 2026 to fiscal 2025, and also the capitalization of certain engineering costs reduced the budget. As typical for this budget, we break it into 3 major categories when we do our analysis. There's mandated increases of $8.1 million, discretionary additions of $5.1 million, and discretionary reductions of $7.4 million. For the $8.1 million mandated increases, the detail is as follows. For base salaries, they increased $4.2 million due to 1, reclassifications, which are changes in grade steps, classifications, moving pins between RCs that totaled $2.7 million, and 1% COLA for civilian and sworn employees totaling $1.5 million. Health insurance, both current and retiree, increased $2.3 million, and this is due to updating actual cost activity. Pension costs increased $0.8 million, while Maryland State Police retirement costs increased $0.6 million. Social Security increased $0.3 million, and the law enforcement pension system had their costs increase $0.1 million. All other costs resulted in $0.2 million decrease, primarily due to Maryland State Police retired health costs being reduced. We had an additional $5.1 in discretionary spending additions. The key variances are the insurance that increased $1.5 million due to expected premium increases. Management studies and consultants increased $1 million, primarily due to environmental, social, and governance analysis and reporting. Other additional equipment increased $0.6 million due to the requirement of equipping police vehicles with vaults, and those things, the vaults actually store the firearms in the police vehicles. Easy Pass Service Center costs increased $0.5 million, primarily due to funding double-blind image reviews. Legal services increased $0.3 million due to expected key bridge litigation, while the statewide enterprise budget system costs increased $0.3 million due to increased contractual pricing. Contractual employees, step increases total less than $0.1 million. All other increases were $0.8 million across various RCs, with no individual RC being more than $0.1 million. The key variances for the reduction of 7.4 million are as follows. As mentioned, the vehicle purchases declined 6.2 million. This was moving the funding from fiscal 26 to fiscal 25 for the police take-home vehicles. Engineers declined 0.5 million. This is due to a shift to more capital versus operating work. Vehicle purchases, other land vehicles declined 0.2 million due to updated safety and maintenance equipment needs, while building repairs and maintenance costs declined 0.1 million, primarily due to lower expense requirements at the Bay Bridge. All other decreases totaled 0.4 million across various RCs. If you scroll down further, the presentation, you see a breakdown of the budget between the years, how they've changed, and also the funding sources of the budget for the current fiscal 2026 final budget. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. I do have one question, and I think you may have covered this, but we had talked at one presentation in the past about the police, the academy increasing significantly compared to, I think we were, we had like 14 or 8, whatever in the past candidates, cadets, or for that. And I think there was I guess there's some number of like 30 plus growing, which is very positive, I guess. So I'm just wondering if all of that is accounted for, or is that further down the line?
Well, as of this point, it's accounted for. Typically, obviously, when we go through the final budget, I reach back out to the various groups, including the police, and they give me updated head counts and numbers. And then, especially with the police, there's updates between whether they're cadets or officers, whatever the case may be. So as of this point in time, it should reflect all those changes, but that's always a moving target.
Bruce, did you have something to say?
Just going to agree with your number. There's a little over 30 in the academy class right now.
Okay. Very good. Well, it's positive, very positive on that side, and I'm just checking on the accounting for it here in the budget. Jeffrey, thank you very much. We very much appreciate you.
Actually, member Powers, just one question.
Yes, sir.
So Jeffrey, I think you mentioned the sources side. I don't see that. So how are we? So the increase that's being, is there an offset there on the revenue side, or is that going to be just part of our overall debt financing? And on the revenue side, I know that reports later, but I didn't see if there was any variance or change there.
In terms of, I'm not sure I understand what
how we're
change.
so we're increasing the budget. So I don't know
Yes.
how we're absorbing the amounts that we're increasing. I know it's not a tremendous amount in the big picture, but just curious if there's.
Well, yeah, I think that's really more of a, when you look at the financial statements as a whole, you have to look at the revenue, see if we're offsetting that or not. But yeah, the operating budget, there's no offset at this point. We're presenting, this is what it's going to be. So the increases are the increases.
Okay.
Chantel Green, Director of Finance, if I can just join in. We'll be presenting the financial forecast shortly. So we do have unencumbered cash surplus. So to the extent that we need to draw from our unencumbered cash reserves, we're able to do that to cover additional expenses.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Very good question, as always, Member Rosen. But thank you. Okay, is there, and thank you, Chantel and Bruce, for your participation in this discussion. And thanks again, Jeffrey. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board?
So moved, Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
Second that, Member Carroll.
Member Carroll. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks again, Jeff.
All right, thank you.
It's approved. We will move on to agenda item number 6, and that is the draft fiscal year 2026 through 2031 Consolidated Transportation Program, which includes project additions and changes. Jennifer Stump is here to present. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Stump, and I'm the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today, I'm presenting the proposed fiscal year 26 to 31 draft CTP and seeking your recommendation for approval to the full board on June 26th. This was also presented to the Capital Committee on June 5th. The proposed 6-year fiscal year 26 to 31 draft CTP is $5.1 billion. This reflects a net increase of $144.8 million as seen on attachment 1, line 7. The net increase is a result of the following: an increase in the 6-year CTP budget by $112 million for the Francis Scott Key Bridge as seen on attachment 1, line 1. The budget reflects the original cost estimate that was prepared for the FSK bridge rebuild within 2 weeks of the bridge collapse. The cost estimate will be updated prior to the next MDTA bond sale. A decrease in the 6-year CTP budget by $9.4 million for the Nice Middleton Bridge as seen in attachment 1, line 2. A decrease in the 6-year CTP budget by $12.2 million for the I-95 ETL Northern Extension as seen in attachment 1, line 3. An increase in the 6-year CTP budget by $109.9 million for all projects except the Key Bridge, Nice Middleton Bridge, the I-95 ETL Northern Extension, and the reserves, as shown on attachment 1, line 4. And a decrease in the allocated and unallocated reserves by $55.4 million, as seen in attachment 1, line 5. The fiscal year 2025 expenditures were $584.6 million versus the $765.5 million that was budgeted in the fiscal year 25 to 30 final CTP, and that is reflected on line 7 of attachment 1. The fiscal year 25 underspending was $180.9 million and has been rolled over into the draft CTP. Highlights of project and reserve changes are shown in attachment 2. For added projects, we added 8 system preservation projects and 1 environmental project for a net increase of $53.9 million in the fiscal year 26 to 31 period. For modified budgets to reflect bids received, we adjusted 1 project to reflect a bid received lower than the engineer's estimate for a decrease of $681,000 in the total cost of the project and a net increase of $1.9 million in the fiscal year 26 to 31 period. For added construction phases, the construction phase of 4 projects was funded for a total of $33.2 million, transferred from the reserves as the design reached 60% level and the cost estimates were developed on their fully developed scopes. For modified budgets for completed projects, 6 projects were completed or deleted for a net decrease of $828,000 in the fiscal year 26 to 31 period. For projects that are active and modified due to cost changes and cash flow adjustments, we adjusted cash flows and funded changes in engineering and or construction budgets for 73 projects for a net budget increase of $112.1 million in the fiscal year 26 to 31 period. For reserve changes, the allocated reserves had a net decrease of $56.3 million and the unallocated reserves increased by $899,000 for a net decrease of $55.4 million in the fiscal year 26 to 31 period. On attachment number 3, it details where the projects are by facility. 34.8% are at the Key Bridge, 16.5% are at the William Preston Lane Memorial Bridge, 16.4% are at the Kennedy Highway, 11.2% are multi-area projects, 10.7% are at the Fort McHenry Tunnel, 8% are at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel, 2% are at the ICC, the Intercounty Connector, and less than 1% each are at the Hayden Bridge and Nice Bridge. Attachment number 4 details the project by their category. We have 37.3% in bridge replacements, 22.1% in structure preservation, 16.8% in safety and capacity improvements, 8.5% in highway preservation, 4% in tunnel preservation, 4% in campus facility improvements, 2.7% in enhancements, 2.4% in campus facility preservation, 1% in environmental, and less than 1% in the unallocated reserves. That concludes the presentation. And again, we're seeking your recommendation for forwarding this to the board for approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions from any members? Okay. Is there a motion to advance this item to the full board for
So
approval?
moved, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll.
Second, Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This is forward. This will move toward to the full board for approval. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Good day. Okay, we will move to item number 7, the financial forecast, approval of the financial forecast. Chantel Green will present. This is the last approval item on the agenda this morning. So just saying that, with a lot to cover here. So we will have Chantel present. Hi, Chantel, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
Morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
So today I will be presenting the fiscal year 2026 through 2031 financial forecast for your approval. In a moment, I'll discuss the primary differences between the current forecast and the forecast that was presented to you in November. However, before doing so, I'd like to direct your attention to the key takeaways noted on the first page of your memo. You'll note that through fiscal year 2027, the authority remains in compliance with its financial goals and legal standards. This is consistent with the November forecast. The budget for the Francis Scott Key Bridge rebuild reflects the original $1.7 billion cost estimate that was prepared shortly after the bridge collapse. The cost estimate will be updated prior to the next MDTA bond sale. And based on current forecast estimates, beginning in fiscal year 2028, a system-wide total increase will be necessary to maintain 2 times debt service coverage throughout the remainder of the forecast period. The next page outlines the primary differences between the current forecast and the most recently approved forecast. Net total revenue remains relatively flat throughout the forecast period. Regarding operating budget expenses, they increased by $84 million throughout the forecast period. The key drivers of the increase are mandated personnel costs, insurance costs, and other operating cost increases that were noted during the operating budget presentation provided by Jeff Brown. These costs are compounded throughout the forecast period. Capital expenses increased by approximately $145 million, primarily due to the rollover of unexpected funds from the prior year into future fiscal years, the inclusion of 9 new projects, and a net reduction in the allocated and unallocated reserves. Debt issuances increased during the forecast period as a result of the projected short-term refinancing associated with the Key Bridge rebuild. The forecast models a short-term bank line of credit to assist with the Key Bridge rebuild funding while awaiting reimbursement from the federal government. Debt service declines during the forecast period, mostly due to cash flow adjustments that result in more cash being available during the earlier years of the forecast period, thereby reducing the amount of debt service throughout the forecast period. Regarding insurance proceeds, the forecast continues to assume that $25 million of the $350 million in insurance proceeds will be used for salvage and debris removal costs, and that the remaining proceeds will be applied toward federally eligible Key Bridge expenses after the $60 million in federal quick release funds are exhausted. The forecast assumes that after spending down the remaining insurance proceeds beginning in fiscal year 2027, the authority will be fully reimbursed by the federal government for eligible project costs with a 1-year lag from the time costs are incurred until the authority is reimbursed. And again, based on current forecast estimates, beginning in fiscal year 2028, a system-wide total increase will be necessary to maintain 2 times debt service coverage throughout the remainder of the forecast period. Those are the major changes reflected in the forecast. I'd be happy to respond to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantel. Any questions? Okay. It doesn't appear there are any questions. So thank you very much. We will ask for a motion to advance this item to the full board for approval.
So moved. Member Rosen.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
Second, Member Carroll.
Member Carroll. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you both for that. Chantel, thank you. Okay. We will move to the next item, which is item number 8. This is an update on biannual review of revenue. Oops, excuse me. This is number, we're going to number, let's say, we're going to number 8 is an update. Is that right? You're still here, Chantel?
Yes. Hi.
I'm sorry. Okay. This is an update, number 8, biannual review of revenue sufficiency. And Chantel, you're up again. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. The authority's board operating policy requires a biannual review of revenue sufficiency to determine if current rate and fee levels are appropriate based on levels of expected spending. As you all know, it is essentially a companion item to the financial forecast. The financial forecast that was just presented shows that the authority's current toll rates, as well as fees and discounts, provide enough revenue through fiscal year 2027 to meet forecasted spending and all legal and policy requirements. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that update. Any questions? All right. No, we'll thank you. We will move on to the last item on the agenda. Item number 9, travel plaza update. And Simon, are you here? There you are. Hi, welcome. I think you may be on mute, possibly. You can check that.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Thank
There
you.
we go. Good morning,
Thanks.
everyone. My name is Simon Ajar. I'm the Travel Plaza Administrator, and this is my annual update on operations up north at the Chesapeake and Maryland houses. So before we start, kind of like why do we have the travel plazas? It's all about safety for our traveling public. So to have an opportunity to pull over, this is especially important now for our truckers. You know, without the truckers, America would stop. So we have lots of spaces for them at both plazas. Also, it's an opportunity for us to promote our great state. Why a public-private partnership or a P3? P3s are basically where you're trying to marry expertises of 2 different parties, bring them together and get that synergy. So our core competency is transportation. Airs USA, who is the current operator of the travel plazas, is in the hospitality business. They're based out of Spain. They have all the connections to hospitality, from Dunkin' Donuts to the Wendy's, etc. It also allows us to deploy resources that we would normally use inside the buildings as well as outside for transportation projects, and also revenue that we receive from the travel plazas can be deployed back into to our roadway systems. So we currently have a 35-year contract with Airs USA. This contract includes MDTA oversight and Pacific service level requirements. There was a Pacific investment of $56 million in both plazas by Airs USA. And we also, both plazas are certified LEED, LEED. Generally speaking, we receive anywhere between 10 to 15% of revenue from the travel plazas based on sales. On slide number 4, I'm presenting the concepts or the restaurants that we have at the travel plazas. There's been no change between this year and last year. Page 5, we also have subtenants. So subtenants are not restaurants, but they do provide, basically what Airs does is it takes the extra space and brings in additional revenue by putting in massage chairs. We get money from ATM transactions, Tesla, and brochures, as well as vending machines. Moving on to slide number 6, or page 6. I'm presenting here how we did last year for fiscal year 2024. The total earnings was 4.71 on a fiscal year basis. That compares to 4.54 million last year. But one of the things I want to bring to everyone's attention is when you're talking about a fiscal year, you're talking about July 1 through June 30th. Those happen to be the 2 peak parts of a calendar year where we have the most amount of traffic of the travel plazas. So if you look at page number 7, which kind of mirrors what we've been doing for the last 4 years, You can see from left to right, the orange line is 2024 calendar year. So on a calendar year basis, last year, we brought in $4.79 million. That was actual cash. This last year for calendar year 2024, it was 4.49. So it actually dipped, and you can see that occur when you look at the dark blue line, which is 2023, and match that to the orange line for 2024. We were actually a little bit ahead of last year, I'm sorry, the prior year in March, but then there was a gap that continued all the way through the year before evening out towards the end of December. And I'll explain the reasons behind that shortly. On page 8, there's been no change in the drivers of the revenue, both travel plazas. So at Chesapeake House, our number one revenue source is the Sunshine Market. There was a little bit of a drop there from 3.2 million to 2.9 million in sales. And again, the MDTA receives 10% of that. So everything that you see here, you basically are picking up 10%. Looking over at the Maryland House, Sunshine Market dipped a little bit from 4.5 million to 4.4. So what does that mean to the MDTA? From the Sunshine Market alone, we received $440,000. Again, there was no change as far as between 1, 2, and 3. The next page, we did have a revenue highlight for Wendy's at the Chesapeake House. They brought in gross sales of $298,000. That's almost $30,000 in our pockets. That is the highest monthly sale for Chesapeake House Wendy's since 2017. And that occurred in June of last year. One of the other important parts of the P3 is community involvement. So on page 10, I have a photo from the 9/11 ride that occurred last year in August. We're going to have the 25th ride coming up this August. And basically how that worked out was the first ride occurred just after 9/11 in 2001. This is a very large event that occurs. It involves our MDTA police coordinating this, Maryland State Police, local law enforcement agencies, as well as the Northern Region operations and maintenance. They do a fantastic job. We're expecting about 600 riders this year and about 300 to 400 law enforcement and support personnel. When the motorcyclists come in, they get gassed up at Sunoco. So this is a coordination with Sunoco to get them in and out as soon as possible. And ARIS provides snacks and water. It's a really tremendous event. And on page 11, I just have a photo of the trailer. This has the names of everyone who died on 9/11. When you're out there, it's a really impressive event. You see the motorcyclists coming in, great fellowship there, and really is a huge endeavor between the MDTA, our partners with ARIS USA, as well as Sunoco. Moving on to page 12, what's going on for the future? So one of the things that I've talked about in the past is there's always been a challenge as far as keeping the concepts open. ARIS feels that they do have the staffing in place, but it's a competitive environment. To improve customer feedback and the customer environment, the ARIS has now put on QR codes where instead of you going online, you could actually take your receipt, snap it with your phone, and put your comments in. Also, they have a new guest service manager who's now going through Google and Yelp reviews, which is very important. So you have to look at we're trying to be inclusive of lots of different audiences. What may work for a different generation is not going to work for the current generation. So those things that we have to continuously keep improving on. ARIS did do some minor repairs on furniture and fixtures, and they're going to continue that forward. When I talked about the challenges that we had as far as revenue, we had a number of changes that occurred. 80% of leadership changed last year. The regional vice president is no longer with ARIS. We have a new operations manager, a new general manager, and a new regional guest manager. So we're talking about leaders who are coming in anywhere between, say, about 6 to 9 months worth of experience at the travel plazas. And we are hoping that with their leadership, they'll get this ship moving in the right direction again. But again, we've got the ongoing challenge in the hospitality business, which is a competition. We've got a number of new restaurants are opening up near the travel plazas, as well as the competitions of your Royal Farm stores and the Wawas, as well as people are getting very cost conscious. They're also checking out the apps, Gas Buddy, etc. So if they have a loyalty to a certain brand, they may not go in our plazas. But again, we try to give them our selling point is convenience. You come in, you use restrooms, get what you want to eat, boom, you're back on I-95 within 30 seconds. One of the other challenges that was noted initially was in the springtime, especially with the truck traffic, was the loss of the Key Bridge. We feel that that's going to be a non-issue going forward. And moving forward on the last 2 pages of my presentation, I have a number of presentations as far as how do we derive our revenue, the different formulas. So generally speaking, if we make $45 million or less, we're entitled to 10% of the concession sales at the actual houses. Moving to the right, we've got the convenience stores at the Sunoco's. So again, depending on if it's Chesapeake House versus Maryland House, it's a different formula. And on slide 16, we have the same presentation as it relates to, however, onto Sunoco fuel sales. Again, depending on the commodity and where the item is involved, will determine the revenue that we get from Sunoco. That concludes my presentation. I appreciate everyone's time. If there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Great presentation. Member Carroll? You have a question?
Thanks, Member Von Paris. Simon, thanks for the presentation. Just an afterthought, just piggybacking on you mentioned earlier about changing preferences. Is there any thinking around what a possible future vendor/retail mix could look like that would attract the demographic to be, if you will, or the demographics that are emerging?
That is something that we are in conversation with the areas. Areas is the operator of the travel plaza, so we really look at them to be looking at the trends as to what's moving, what's not moving. As far as also revenue, what's moving and what's not moving. One of the things that I've noted is, a greater inclusion of different types of sizes. Long sleeve shirts are very important, especially when sweatshirts, when you get to the fall season, having women's sizes, that's important. And looking at, you get the kids in there, what appeals to a 2-year-old, little toys, because once you get the kids going in there, then the parents are kind of locked into place, so to speak. So those are the types of things that we're trying to do, and also to keep refreshing the merchandise, because we want folks to come back over and over. That's where we build up the business. And if people are coming in, say, once or twice, a couple of times a year, and they see changes, minor changes, tweaks that we're doing, that's very important. We just installed at the Travel Plaza's new coffee machines at the C stores. So if you want I'm just a regular kind of coffee kind of guy, but there's apparently 9 different types of coffee that you can get at the Travel Plaza. You have to go to a machine, you press the type of coffee you get. So if you want an espresso, you can get an espresso now, which is again, an option that we did not have before. So that is something that we do have those conversations with areas as to what they're looking at and what's moving and what's not.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? I do have a couple of comments or maybe a question here. At one point at MDTA, somebody said we need to do this and have a plaza like we have, and then we have 2 of them. And I don't know if it makes sense in the future to take a look at our facilities to see if it makes sense to ever expand, if it's right and it can be worked out and we can make money doing it. Just say that, little bold step there. And also I think that, are we looking at Maryland businesses, that opportunity to help the Maryland's economy even if it's a small amount. And then the third thing, and you don't have to answer this third thing now, my third question, if it's confidential, but in this type of arrangement, there's, the revenue streams, and do we have an audit in place? It's a finance committee meeting, so do we have processes in place to verify that the revenue streams that we are to receive there's a mechanism to audit and verify that. So, but we don't have to comment on that if it's confidential. We don't want to, you can get back to us or something on that. I think I just wanted to make sure that, it's a finance committee and we want to make sure that we have that in place. And I'm sure we have something in place for that. So.
Yes, Chair Von Paris, as far as we do push on local vending. All the vending machines that we have are local operators. ARIS also does a lot of community outreach with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Habitat for Humanity. So wherever there's an opportunity to have local community connections, they are doing that. As far as the revenue streams go, we do have a system in place to verify, and this is actually in the contract that we receive the point of sale service reports. We verified those. We also question why did certain trends go up versus down. So that we do have a system in place, and I'll be more than happy to discuss that with you offline too, or any members of the committee.
Great, we appreciate that. Thank you very much, Simon. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think it reflects. Yes. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Make your point. I just want to let you know I had another question.
There we go. Remember? Oh, you want? Well, I was just going to say it really reflects the diversification of our organization. Many people don't know we have a police department. Many people don't know that we're into, in a way, hospitality or whatever, this kind of the plazas and so forth that we have. And it really is this, one of the things that I would say about MDTA, it's very unique. And it's really, you learn something new every single day here. And it's a great organization. But anyway, I didn't mean to, but thank you. Member Carroll, I'm sorry, you have a question.
No worries. You brought up a good point that had me going off on the tangent. So I'll throw this out there as well, Simon. And I may answer my own question with the question, but as I think about where the placement of the two facilities are now, that placement, I imagine, is because that's a long stretch of road where there's less densely populated options along the way. So if you look at things south of, let's say, Route 32, going all the way through to the Maryland line, there's nothing there, but I imagine there's probably nothing there from an MDTA perspective, from a rest stop perspective, because those areas are more densely populated. Is that the thinking of why you wouldn't do anything at those stops, north and south stops south of 32?
Well, remember, Carol, the stops that we have at that's an SHA stop down in Savage, Maryland. The two plazas that we have, they are footprints of the existing travel plazas. I know that the Maryland House, I believe, was built, initial building was like in 1962. I'm not sure what the original building to Chesapeake House was, but those were previously cited. So basically what ARIS did was they took the existing footprint and demolished the two buildings and replaced them.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. First.
It goes back to the history of I-95 as ramp tolling too, when plazas were developed there, and there's different federal rules on the SHA side for when you can have revenue at those types of plazas versus when you can have them on a toll facility. So lots of different factors that play into that. Also, Member Von Paris, to your point about, how can the MDTA evolve in the future, when we start nearing the end of the P3 arrangement, is still quite a ways off, is this facility was kind of an intentional expansion of not only the footprint of the services, but the parking, the bigger accommodation, as Simon referenced. So there was an attempt to at least maximize at that time. So we'll probably limit it in footprint in the future, but I-95 is changing. Now, when I was here last time, we didn't have any consideration of a Belvedere Road interchange. There wasn't, that whole Cecil County growth. There's other things that are in the future of development in that corridor that will be addressing needs that are very different from the past and the travel plaza, that service plaza model that we had. So it's very interesting stuff.
It is. Thank you very much, Bruce. And Simon, thank you, everyone.
Chair Rosen, I believe Member Rosen's got a question.
I'm sorry, Member Rosen. I'm sorry. You there? I think you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So two questions. One is, if you use Waze or I guess Google Maps, something pops up, saying what's available and what's coming up, and I don't know. I'm just more of an idea if we're not already doing that we could potentially advertise with the vendor. Areas could potentially look at that, and then that's more of a point. And then the other more of a question. I wonder how I know there's a Delaware rest stop facility pretty close to the Chesapeake House. I don't know if you look at their financials. I assume they're publicly available, and I'm just curious. I'd be curious to compare them to how we're doing, and if they're seeing similar declines. I'm curious if people stop in Delaware because of no sales tax versus in Maryland where there is a sales tax. So I don't know if that's something that you've looked into either.
Member Rosen, I've not looked into that, but that's certainly a very good point to make because the two houses are about 15, 20 minutes apart. But that's something definitely to look at.
Okay.
Thank you, Member Rosen. Okay, Simon, thanks again.
Thank you.
And, all right. I guess before we adjourn, I would like to take a few minutes to recognize a very special member of the MDTA team who is with us today, Miss Cheryl Dickinson, on her retirement. Cheryl, you're here, right? You're on the line, on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Cheryl is a very important member of the finance team. Cheryl does quite a bit of work behind the scenes and much more. She helps administratively to set up meetings, and she assembles the meeting materials that we all use, and she readies them for mail out. She handles that part as well. That in itself is a very big job and a very important job, and we all appreciate that. She prepares the meeting minutes, and she does much, much more. Cheryl has done a tremendous job here at the Maryland Transportation Authority. Her career path is very impressive, and I find it to be very interesting. She started out as a MDTA police officer, where she spent 16 years as police officer at MDTA. And then she worked for the Transportation Secretary's office for approximately 3 years. And for the last 20 years, Cheryl has been with the Division of Finance here at the Authority. That comes to about 40 years, it looks like to me, Cheryl. That's a lot of time and a lot of service. Cheryl, it is an honor and a privilege to work with you over the years. Your hard work, dedication, and professionalism is recognized and very much appreciated. I know I speak for the others on the caller and the board members here today, but they will certainly comment, I'm sure. We all wish you the very best on your well-deserved retirement, and as you begin this exciting new chapter in your life, we all wish you and your family good health, happiness, many more blessings to come your way. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say, Cheryl? Anything further to say?
You put me on the spot.
That's all right. I don't want to. We just...
No, just, I'm grateful to the authority for all the opportunities I've been given. You're gonna make me cry, so I'm not gonna say anything else. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we won't do that. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll see you around the authority. Okay. But thank you
Yeah.
again. Any other comments from anyone, members or anybody?
Just echoing your thoughts. Cheryl, we wish you the best in this next chapter of your life. One of the highest callings, I think, is to be of value and service in ways that don't always reward you, maybe with the highest financial outcomes when you're thinking about things professionally. And so when you look at a career as long and storied as the one that you've had, it's very clear, at least in my thinking, that your commitment to serving the citizens of the state of Maryland has been there. And we appreciate that. And we wish you all the best in that next chapter of your life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just echo those comments, and best to you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it is time to adjourn, and we adjourn on a very good note with this, I guess, recognition. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Second. Member Carroll?
I'll second that.
Second. All those
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce,
Great day.
everybody.
Thank you.